Do you know that your life is much more than what people have to say about you? This is something that we discover in the book of Job, and this is something that was brought out in today's message by our pastor, Bishop Claude Richard Alexander Jr. He preached a powerful, powerful, dynamic message entitled Choosing Life. And this is a part of the series. So this is part 5 of Choosing Life. And what I want you to do, I want you to gather all your friends, gather all your family together, get everyone around, put this in your group chat, in your group text, let them know that we are getting ready to hear a word from the Lord. I guarantee this is going to be a blessing to someone's life. So take the time now, share this broadcast with someone else so that they can be blessed by what the Lord has to say. Let us now hear what God has to say through part 5 of the series entitled Choosing Life.
Job chapter 2, beginning with verse 1, reading from the New Living Translation. The word of the Lord is as follows. One day the members of the heavenly court came again to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser, Satan, came with them. Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I've been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. And the Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He's the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil. And he has maintained his integrity, even though you urged me to harm him without cause. Satan replied, skin for skin. Man will give up everything he has to save his life. But reach out, take away his health, and he will surely curse you to your face. All right. Do with him as you please, the Lord said to Satan, but spare his life. So Satan left the Lord's presence, and he struck Job with terrible boils from head to foot. Job scraped his skin with a piece of broken pottery as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse God and die. But Job replied, you talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? So in all this, Job said, nothing wrong. Thus far, the word of the Lord. You may be seated. Are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse God and die. You talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? So in all this, Job said nothing wrong. This is part 5 of our series, Choosing Life. In his book, The Life We're Looking For, Andy Crouch posits that the first and fundamental desire that we have as human beings is that of recognition. From our earliest moments of existence, the most essential task is figuring out who we are and where we are by making contact with other people. An infant, if you pay attention to an infant's eyes are always on whoever is holding him or her. And in that process, in seeing the parents and seeing who hold them, the infant gets a sense of who the infant is through their eyes. In our earliest of times, we get a sense of who we are through the eyes of the people that we are looking at. So much of our sense of self, even in those moments, comes through the interactions that we have with others. It's first our parents, then our relatives, our friends, neighbors, classmates, teachers. God recognized this in the very beginning when he noted that it was not good that the man should be alone. He realized that we would come to our fullest selves through relationships. Now, unfortunately, that also poses a challenge because we are prone to then see our value in terms of the actions or inactions of other people. And we can be prone so much so that we can see ourselves in terms of what people say about us, how people treat us, how people act around us. And rather than viewing them objectively, we view them, their presence or absence, their support or opposition in terms of our positive or negative worth. In an age driven by likes and follows and friending, this tendency intensifies. And the greater the intimacy and the fuller the transparency of the relationship, the deeper the wounding can occur. Because nobody can cut you like those who are close to you. And perhaps no deeper wounding occurs than that between a husband and a wife. Marriage is the one relationship built for absolute intimacy and transparency. Secrets are shared that nobody knows, that you don't want even your mama and your daddy to know. The marital covenant and the binding sexual intimacy within marriage creates the context for openness and trust that is unrivaled. And while there is nothing better than when this happens, there is nothing worse than when things go wrong, when trust is betrayed, when intimacy breaks down, when admiration and respect become sarcasm, disrespect, and coldness. There is a cut so deep that brings everything into question. Relationship breakdowns, betrayals, and abandonment are among the recognized causes of people taking their lives. And this raises the question of how you choose life when you've been kicked to the curb, when you've been left in the dust, when your trust has been betrayed, when you've given all of yourself to a person's success, and once they reach it, they leave you. Or when you face a challenge and you're no longer the cat's meow, they bounce. How do you choose life when people see more value in your death than in your survival? How do you choose life when people pronounce death about you and wish death on you? How do you choose life when you're in that type of situation? To come to terms with that, I had to go to my main man, Job. That good, that upright man feared God and hated evil. Job was the subject of conversation between the devil and God. The devil proposed that Job's faithfulness was brought by God, and that if God stopped doing every good thing for Job, Job would curse God to God's face. So God provides an opportunity for Satan to attack him, but not mess with his soul. And so in chapter 1, Job loses his children, and he loses his wealth. Job responds by worshiping. Naked came I into this world, and naked I shall return. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 rolls around, and God is in heaven, and the angels are giving their report, and the accuser, Satan, tries to join them. And this is the second conversation now between God and Satan, and God says, hey, what about my man Job? Ain't nobody like him. You gotta watch out when God starts bragging on you. Ain't nobody like my man Job. Loves me, hates evil, and even when you caused me to back up because you said that he only worships me because good stuff happens. Well, bad stuff came his way. And did you see his worship? He was still worshiping me, still serving me, still praising me. And Satan says, well, let's just talk skin for skin. Let's have some real talk. Everything in chapter 1 was external to him. His wealth, that was external. His children, though he loved them, they were external. But you let me get at him, really get at him. You let me start messing with his health. You let me start messing with what he was born with. He said, naked came I into this world, and naked I shall return. But here's what he came in with, a body. You let me mess with his body. You let me cause some serious health challenges to come his way. You let the doctor say there's something on the film. It might be terminal. I guarantee you he'll curse you then. God says, all right, shoot your best shot, but you can't kill him. You cannot take his life. You see, God is the God who does draw lines in the sand. And even though Satan may have access to you, God says, no, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. That's why Jesus said to Peter, Simon, Simon, Satan hath desired to have you that he might sift you as wheat. But I prayed for you that your faith fail not. And when you are converted, strengthen the brethren. You see, y'all really don't know a shout when you should, because the enemy has come after every one of us at one time or another. And the reason why the enemy did not get to take you all the way out is that God drew a line in the sand. I wonder, am I talking to somebody who can say, I saw death coming my way. God, but I'm here today, and I'm here today because God drew a line in the sand. My car got totaled, but I came out alive because God drew a line in the sand. God drew a line in the sand. Can't deal with him, but you can't take his life. And so Job is afflicted with painful sores that go from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. It is a form of leprosy known as the Shehan Ra, one of the plagues that came on Egypt. It was the worst type of leprosy. Changes appeared upon the skin, overall blistering. The body began to wither. He looked like a skeleton. And now Job, the greatest man in the East, is now unclean. He's deemed to be a public health threat, COVID. But he's unclean. That means he can't go to church. He's public health and an exile to the community of faith. He's forced to leave his home, which is now in foreclosure. He's relegated to living life on an ash heap outside of the city. Now, the ash heap is where they took your waste. Now it's solidified. Imagine solidified waste being where you live. The place where the waste is burned once a month, that's where you now live. And there's nobody there but stray dogs. And above him are vultures waiting for him to die. Now, up to this point, we ain't seen Mrs. Job. His wife, mother of his children, it's been all Job. But surely Mrs. Job has felt lost, experienced grief, shaken by the tragic and traumatic that characterizes so much of her life now. But here she comes in verse 9. I don't know what she got on. She might have had to sell her St. John to be able to make it. She rose up in there, and upon her look is not the look of love and support. It's not the vision of empathy or sympathy, but hers is a look of disgust and disdain. Her children are gone, her social status gone, the positive regard of her peers gone, and the access that she had taken for granted is gone. She's feeling some kind of way. Having been raised with the belief that a person's prosperity was an indication of the favor of God, her conclusion now is that Job is cut off from God. You see, you got to watch the stuff you believe, because you got to then take it to its furthest conclusion. And if you believe that the favor of God is nothing bad happening to you, then you got to then say, when bad stuff comes, you ain't got no favor. And then where would your life be if you didn't have the favor of God on your side? But that's where that mindset is. And as she approaches Job, what she sees makes her even more upset, because Job is worshiping God. He can't get to the sanctuary. He's been denied access to the fellowship of the saints, but he's out there worshiping on a dung heap. He's worshiping God. Job's worship contradicts his location. He's on a trash heap, worshiping. Ostracized from society, worship. Subject of malicious gossip, worshiping. Name is removed from every invite list, worshiping. He's been unfollowed, unfriended, and unliked, worshiping. Anybody been there? Is there anybody who can testify of having a worship that contradicted your location? That if people looked at your worship, they think that things were a lot different than what they really are for you? They have no idea of the trash heap, no idea of the vultures circling, no idea of the dogs licking their lips, waiting for you to die. Your worship defies your location. I believe somebody is in here right now. They don't even know. They don't even know. You sitting next to them. They don't even know what trash heap you came in from. But you said, I'm going to worship the Lord because I made up in your mind, I'm going to bless the Lord at all. And his praise shall continually be in my mouth. That's what Job is doing. He's worshiping on a trash heap. And Miss Job can't take it. She looks at Job and says, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? You still trying to live right? You still trying to maintain a standard? Look at you. Look at what you no longer possess. Look at what's happened to you. Smell yourself. You ain't had a bath in a week. Job, do you still want to serve God? Where has serving God done for you lately? What did serving God protect you from? Didn't keep us from losing our children, didn't keep us from losing our money, didn't keep us from losing our home. Why serve God now? Anybody heard from Miss Job? In the midst of the tragic and the traumatic, in the wake of nothing adding up or nothing making sense, in the period where everything that you feared came your way and nothing that you hoped for seems to have materialized, Mrs. Job will start talking to you. Are you still trying to live right? You still trying to serve God? You still preaching, praying, singing, serving, teaching, witnessing? You still giving and sacrificing, tithing? You can't conceive a child. You gonna serve God? You still laid off. You gonna serve God? Ain't no sign of a turnaround for you. You gonna serve God? You still by yourself. You still got a messed up child. You still got a jacked up marriage. You still got more months than money. You gonna serve. Anybody heard from Miss Job? Miss Job says, curse God and die. Terminate your worship. Shut down your praise. Throw away your thanksgiving. End it all. Be done with it. Make things final. This ain't no usher talking to Job. This is his wife. This is real. It's his good thing. His one flesh, his boo. The one with whom he's been sharing life. And she is saying to him, curse God and die. Put it into your life. She is saying to him, I still got the policy. My name is still on it. And her valuing of him is more dead than alive. The one closest to him is talking termination, not survival. At its lowest point, when you would expect her to be offering a word of encouragement, telling him, we're going to live, baby, we're going to make it through. She's telling him, curse God and die. Now, the fact that there are 42 chapters in the book lets us know Job doesn't die in chapter 2. Job doesn't curse God and die. Job chose life. Hurt, disappointed, dismayed, but Job still chose life. And Job's choosing life was due in large part to his understanding, and I need young people especially to hear me on this. His life is more than the thoughts and feelings of others about him. Life is more than the thoughts and feelings that other people have about you. Listen to his response. You talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? You see, choosing life when you've been dropped occurs when you separate your self-worth from the comfort or discomfort of other people. You see, life for Mrs. Job had its own set of pressures and stress. She's had to probably endure, since he was the greatest man in the East, she's had to endure some attempts of other women to try to pull Job away from her. Maybe she and the kids dreaded living life in the fishbowl environment that Job's life necessitated. And what made life bearable was the perks that they enjoyed that also came with that life. They enjoyed a level of provision. They enjoyed a level of acceptance and respect given to them because of him. And now all that has changed. Her children are gone, their wealth is gone, and that upon which they had counted to tide them over has vanished. She's directly impacted by the spiritual battle that is going on concerning Job. Notice, God ain't mentioned her. God didn't say, have you considered Job and Mrs. Job? Now, God just said, what about my man Job? And because of her connection to Job, she's suffering. Because Job is the one coming under attack. And now, Job is still worshiping this God. Miss Job, she ain't got nothing for God. She didn't have anything to do with God, and therefore the best thing that Job can do for both of them, curse God and die. She's neither feeling Job, where Job is, nor what Job is doing. You know, what happened to for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health? That's now gone. Because for her, life would be easier and simpler with Job just died. Can you imagine Letting that set in. And as uncomfortable as Job may be, he refuses to allow the discomfort to be the shaping factor in how he sees himself. He says, I'm not going to let her discomfort negate my value and my worth. You see, choosing life requires a separation of your sense of value from the thoughts and feelings of other people. People can be uncomfortable with you, and you need to understand, people being uncomfortable with you is just a part of life. There's going to always be somebody who's not going to be comfortable with you. There's always going to be somebody who's not going to like whom God is making you become and where God wants to take you. And your sense of value has to be more important to you than the discomfort that anybody else possesses. And I wonder, am I talking to somebody who can testify that people simply being uncomfortable with you and what God is doing in your life, what God is doing with you and for you, they are uncomfortable with who you are and where you are going and what you are doing. They are uncomfortable with your desire to live with integrity, to work with integrity, to date with integrity. Talk to me, somebody single. Others are uncomfortable with what they perceive not happening for you, not happening with you, not happening in you. They're uncomfortable by the seeming holdup and the delay. They're uncomfortable with things not happening as quickly or as easily as they expected. And in both cases, you got to choose not to allow their discomfort to diminish the value that you ascribe to yourself. In other words, you got to know who you are regardless of who anybody else says that you are. You got to know who you are and your value and your worth, regardless of who is with you, who likes you, who is going to be beside you, because when you are faced with their discomfort, especially with what isn't happening for you and what has been subtracted from you, you got to operate by a different calculus. Their math doesn't math with your math. I need to go slow on this, because people's math ain't always yours. You got to know your math. You got to make your math work for you. And you don't have to accept the formulas of their equation. Their equation of you is not the equation that you have for yourself. You got a different calculus. Well, Job may not understand what is behind what is going on, why this is happening to him. He's still alive, and his life is still worth living. Things aren't what they once were. He doesn't possess what he once possessed. He's struck by a horrible disease. His status is not what it once was. With so many minuses, he still sees life from the plus side. While others, even his wife, see him as zero or minus zero, he still sees himself on the plus side. He rejects her discomfort with what's been subtracted. And while all she can see is minuses, Job says, I still got a plus. Just the fact that he's alive is not a zero, it's a plus. She missed his calculus in his statement in chapter 1 when he declared, naked came I into this world, and naked I shall return. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. She missed what his calculus was. He came with nothing but just him. And he still got nothing but just him. He was and he is, and that's still on the plus side. Somebody needs to hear what I'm saying, because God is saying to you, you're on the plus side. If you're alive to hear me, you're on the plus side. I don't care what has happened. I don't care what you've lost. I don't care how people feel. If you can hear me, if you can read the sign from the silent ambassador, you have a plus attached to you. I know you've had some painful minuses. I know you've had some difficult subtractions, but they have not eliminated you. The value of your life is not in something happening or not happening. The value is in your just being who you are. You are here. You are a plus. Don't you know God made you a plus when God brought you into this world? There was no you before you got here. God added you. You brought a plus to the world. You brought a plus to your family. You've been a plus every day since. Wherever you go, you're a plus. Whenever you show up, there is an addition. You bring something that wasn't there before. You are a plus. You bring a presence that was not there, thinking that was not there, ideas that were not there, creativity that was not there, skill that was not there. When you wake up every day, it says, I am a plus, and your being alive is a plus. God does it to make you a plus. Matter of fact, you ought to look at somebody and say, plus, baby, plus, 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 plus. That's who I am, plus. I showed up. I brought something. You, my God, my God, my God. Anybody don't know your value? You ought to tell them, just wait until I leave. Then you'll know what type of value You don't know who you messing with. You mess with me, you're going to see how much of a plus I am. Your self-worth has to be, cannot be wrapped up in what the other people think about you. Choosing life requires your faith to reject the feelings and conclusions of others. You see, Mrs. Job has a particular interpretation about where Job is and makes conclusions about where he is headed and what he should do. Besides the minuses of children, wealth, health, and status, she sees God in the minus category. God can't be with Job. That's what's going on now. Now, God was with him when everything was happening. But God can't be with him now. And with God having left Job in her mind, Job might as well be dead. She doesn't have the privilege that we have. We have the privilege of reading the conversations that went on up in heaven. And because we got the conversations in heaven, we know differently. The problem is things aren't as clear to the characters who are living on earth. Neither Job nor Mrs. Job get the memo that we receive. All they get is life. Life be life, and we don't know what's going on up in heaven. And therefore, it's not as simple or as clear to us on earth. But here's the thing. Because of that, we can't allow our decisions, our conclusions, to be based on our feelings, especially when we're dealing with mystery. When you're in mystery, you need something more than your feelings. You better have a faith. And not just any kind of faith. You better have a faith that's tied to the person of God. Because when life gets unclear, that's when you got to rely on something that is clear. And that's why you got to know the character of God. When you know the character of God, some things begin to click with clarity. Job knew enough about the character of God to reject the conclusions that Mrs. Job was making. He may not know the why of the situation, the what of the situation, the when of the situation, or even the how of the situation, but he does know the who of the situation. He knows the Lord. He knows the character of the Lord. He knows the Lord to be blessed. He knows the Lord to be alive. He knows the Lord to be sovereign. He knows the Lord to be purposeful. The character of God is going to be the constant that he's going to make. There's always going to be some stuff we don't understand. On this side of the grave, there are going to be feelings that we and others are going to have about them. There will be interpretations and even conclusions to which some people may come, but the choice to live can never be based on feeling. You need a faith that'll put your feelings and your conclusions in check. That's when you need to have the substance of things hoped for. That's when you got to have the evidence of things not seen. That's where the knowledge of the character of God comes in handy. You know God to be omnipresent. You know God to be in every place, at every time, among everybody, and even in the most supreme crisis with the most extreme loss. You better be able to say, I know that God is present, and therefore I may not know why, I may not know what, I may not know when, I may not know how, but I know I'm not by myself. I know that God is with me. Am I talking to somebody who can say, you know that he is with you, that he is working, that he's with you working with, he's with you working on, he's with you working for, he's with you working it out. Anybody know that you got a faith beyond your feelings? Is there anybody who can testify that I was riding on my feelings, but I didn't like the direction that my feelings were taking me, and my faith grabbed a hold of me and said, no, we got to go in the right direction. You had a faith to overcome your feelings. And is there anybody here who can say, I thank God that I've got a faith that confronts and overcomes my feelings. I've got a faith, and that wasn't just mine. I got a faith. I watched my mama have a faith. I watched my grandparents have a faith, and I listened to their language, because sometimes this modern day language can't help you when you're facing stuff that makes absolutely no sense. That's when you got to pull on some things that are tried and true, and you got to I pull on trials dark on every hand, and we cannot seem to understand all the ways that God would lead us to this blessed promised land, but he guides us with his eye, and we'll follow till we die. We'll understand it better by and by. I thank God that I got a faith that gives me a perspective when there are no simple answers. When there are no simple answers and I got to deal with mystery and gray, my faith says you got a category that you can put that in. And I want to tell you what that category is. By and by. I got a category. I don't have to know it now. I'll know it then. I don't have to get it now. I'll get it then. That's how our forebears were able to endure the absolute horrors, and they kept on choosing life because they had a faith category which said, put it in by and by, baby. It ain't today, it ain't tomorrow, but it will be by and by. I'll keep on keeping on with the mystery now. I will bear the weight now. I'll fight the fight now, because I know I'll have it by and by. When the morning comes, when all the saints of God are gathered, we'll tell the story how we overcome. We'll understand it better by and by. I got to cry right now. I got to bear it right now, but I know by and by it will be worth it all. It will be worth it all. Got to have a faith that says, feelings, you ain't going to take me there. No. I reject that conclusion. I shall not die, but I'm going to live. I'm going to declare the glory of the Lord. I ain't going to stay down. I'm going to get up. He's going to renew my strength. I'm going to mount up with wings as eagles. I'm going to run and not get weary. I'm going to walk and not faint. No, I ain't going to be crying all the time. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy is going to. I got a faith. Puts my feelings in perspective. Listen to Job one more time. But this time, Listen from Eugene Peterson's version. You talking like an empty-headed fool. That's what he really wanted to say. You're talking like an empty-headed fool. We take the good days from God. Why not also take the bad days? Job is having to fight against how Mrs. Job is looking at his days. Her telling him to curse God and die is based upon how she sees his days. And Job battles that with the understanding that he has about his days. You see, Mrs. Job doesn't see God in his current days. She says, God ain't there. So therefore you should curse God and die. But Job asserts that all his days are under the reign and rule of God. That every day that comes is God sent. Every day that comes is a day that God has made. It's another day that light emerges from the darkness. That God is in control of every day, good and bad days, happy and sad days, triumphant and tragic days. Every day belongs to God. And therefore, whatever the day is not a day to curse God. It's a day to bless God. It's a day to thank God. It's a day to worship God. It's a day to seek God. It's a day to trust God. It's a day to rest in God. That's why when he got the news in chapter 1, he said, naked came I into this world. Naked I shall return. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In that worst day, he said, this is a day that I'm going to bless the Lord. This is a day I will choose to worship God, because choosing life is the choice to put every day in the God category. Since God is the maker of the day, since the day belongs to God, you got to choose to put that day in the God category. Since all days come from God, all days are in his hand, all days are leading up to him, all days are days where his purposes are being fulfilled. The choice to live in the midst of the painful is to put those painful days in the God category. You got to be able to put those days in the Lord's hands. They belong to God. With others predicting death and demise, you've got to choose to put that in the category of God. He knows what each day is for you. He knows that with the day, what he has in mind for each day of your life. He knows how to respond within every day. If the day is tribulation, God says, I'm going to work some patience. If the day is trying your patience, God says, I'm going to work some experience. If the experience has been a period of darkness, God said, I'm going to work some hope. Job says, I'm taking every day with God. I took the good days with God, and now I'm going to take the bad days with God, because if you listen to me, there's a common denominator: good, bad, God. God is in the good, God is in the bad, and God is with me right now. Regardless of the minuses, God is the one that keeps him on the plus side. He's alive. He's got the Lord has him. His day is in the Lord's hands. That's how he can worship God on a day when he's in a trash heap, surrounded by dogs and circled by vultures, because the day still belongs to the Lord. The Lord woke him up. The Lord kept him alive. The Lord is keeping him alive. I need somebody to talk back to me if you know what Job is saying. If you know that God brought you through bad days, the Lord brought you through your sad days, the Lord brought you through your tough days, the Lord brought you through your sick days, and through your lean days, and through your broke days, and through your lonely days, and through your challenging days. days in the courtroom, days in the hospital, days on dialysis, days with chemo and radiation, days in rehab, days in jail, days at the funeral home, days at the graveyard. Is there anybody who can say God was in every one of those days? He's God in the brightest. He's God in the darkest. It doesn't get much darker than a Friday when his son Jesus was on a cross for the sins of the world, when he who knew no sin became sin for us that we might become the righteousness of God in him, when people declared him smitten of God, when his enemies claimed victory in his crucifixion, dying in death, when they made a party with his death, when his body was placed in the tomb. My God, his haters believed that they'd gotten rid of him. That was Friday, but then Saturday came and nothing was happening on the surface. But just like Friday was in God's hands and Saturday was in God's hands, so was Sunday in God's hands. And early Sunday morning, while it was still dark, God raised Jesus from the dead with all power in his hand. That's the God that you and I have. That God is still the one who says, I got all your days in my hand, and whatever day it is, you're able to choose life because it is his day for you. He keeps you on the plus side. Is there anybody who can say he's kept me on the plus side, baby? My God, in the midst of every minus, my God, I saw God just do this when it was nothing but this. God said, but because I'm on your side and because you're alive, I know you just see this, but if you keep looking up to me, you'll see me do this to your minus, and I'll make it a plus. I'll slap fire with somebody and say he turned my minus into a plus. That's when they meant evil for me, he worked it together for my good. That's why when I got fired and laid off, and there were 8 months that I had to do without a job, God said, I know all that you see is minus, but I'm going to put food on your table every day. I'm going to pay every bill. I'm going to have you looking like you got a job. And then when I give you the job, it's going to be better than the one that you had before. It's going to have better benefits. It's going to have a higher pay rate. Slap fire and say somebody and say he made it a plus. That's when they did their worst to you and you did not lose your mind, but you came back better than you ever were before. You came back with more anointing. You came back with more faith. That's a plus that he made in the midst of your minus. That's when they left you, God said, I ain't gonna forsake you. I'm gonna have goodness and mercy behind you. I'm gonna be in front of you, and then I'm gonna bring some people. My God, you don't even know who they are, but they are gonna love you for who you are. They are gonna want you there, your best for them. They're going to stick by you. They're gonna fight on your behalf. They're gonna turn down the plate when faith needs to be brought to you. He brought a plus to my minus, and so God, I just want to say thank you for bringing pluses to my minus. I want to thank you that I got another day, and because I got another day, I'm on the plus side, because this is the day that the Lord has made. I'm on the plus side. I'm going to rejoice and be glad in it because I'm on the plus side, and because I know that this is a day that God has for me. God says it ain't over, baby. It ain't over. I still got more in store for you. I got better in store for you. I got brighter in store for you. I got higher in store for you. It ain't over till I say it's over. The devil doesn't have the last word. God says I do. I'm the one who's governing you. I'm the one who has you in my hand. I'm the one who's taking you all the way. Can you say thank you, Lord? Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Come on, make the devil mad. He's saying all you got is minus. You tell him you're a liar. I got pluses, baby. I got plus. My faith tells me I got plus. I got plus. And when you know something about math, plus means I got multiples. Oh, Lord, I ain't just got pluses. I got multiples. He multiplies over and over and over and over and over. I dare you to shout about it. I dare you to thank God. You got multiples. You got multiples. You got multiples. You got multiples. Talk to me, Joe. She told me to curse God and die. I told her, you talking like an empty-headed fool. She left. But God stood by me. When you get to the end of my story, you'll see that I had 10 more children. You'll see that I had more than I had before I had chapter 1. You'll know the names of my children. Because when I name my children, I'm going to give God the testimony that he's a God who brings beauty out of ashes. I'm going to testify that I was on an ash heap, but he made things smell good for me. I'm going to testify that God, I got double for my trouble. Stop by with somebody and say it's the end of the story you need to shout about. It's the end of the story you need to shout. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the heart of anyone what good things the Lord has prepared for those who love him. But I'm going to speak it by faith. I got multiples. You're going where you never gone before. You're becoming who you never been before.